Hello, anybody there? Can anyone hear me? This is Sab here on the creative blog and article writing show, looking like this today. Hello! And I didn't even spill my coffee. How are you doing today? This is where I talk about writing, talk about words, and I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and I started preparing stuff that I could possibly talk about. And I suddenly realized, listen, man, there's more words out there than I can ever cover in a lifetime. So no stress. Don't worry about it. There will be stuff to say. My story of the week, the story of the week, is all about this. You might have seen me already if you've seen my Today's the Day show, Creative Smartphone Photography show, Infinite Creativity Sabsang. You might have seen the story. But if you haven't, here it is again. Very quickly, the funny story is I had this mug, which is a mug about the, say hello, by the way, if you're watching, say hello. It's a mug which was given to me by family or kind of ex-family from Chile. Someone brought it over from Chile. You see, Chile's a very long country like this. I'm not sure if that's the right way up, but it's so long they couldn't have it going up and down on the mug, so they had it going along. And there's some funny little cartoon characters. But look, surprisingly, they've all got bug eyes like the Simpsons. I've been to Chile once, and I didn't notice that. But I don't know if you can see. It's not very easy to see. No, you can't. It's not going to snap into focus. But they've all got bug eyes, just like in the Simpsons. So the story is, I was kitten sitting for a friend. And this friend came back from holiday and gave me this mug because I kind of like lizards. And if you look at that lizard carefully and look at this one from a future project of mine, you'll notice they both look kind of like lizards. So she gave me a mug, and then she was going on holiday again. So I took her kitten and came here. And in about 10 minutes flat, the kitten then broke this mug. So easy come, easy go. So my big question is there too much, is there only a certain amount of psychic energy in terms of mugs possible? You know, I can only have 7 mugs and 1 over 7 and weird things happen, and one of them has to go. At least it was the old one and not the new one. And by the way, say hello if you're watching, and either on the replay or live, that's fine. And if you're watching the replay, you may also be live. I don't know. So you let me know if you're watching the replay. Are you actually live, or are you in some other sort of strange hinterland? So the follow-up to this story is, normally, actually, I think I wrote about it today. Let me show you. This inspired 2 of my Paris Photo Chronicles, which isn't bad. You've got to get inspiration from somewhere, haven't you? And I get inspiration from everywhere. Where do you get inspiration from to write? Where does it come from? Could you let me know? Let me know in the chat. Where does your inspiration come from? Where do you get good ideas? Or do you struggle to get good ideas? I don't mind. You tell me the truth. No need to, you know, try and cover it up. I'll get to the end. I'll get to the bottom of it anyway. So you might as well tell me the truth. Where do your good ideas come from? Do you have problems getting inspired to write? Have you got too much in there to write and your problem is not enough time in the day? What is it? So, by the way, this is my latest meme. You know, I'm behind with my memes because I said that I would do 81 memes on creativity in the 81 days leading up to my birthday. My birthday's in a couple of days. And I'm on meme number 25. So if you do 81 minus 25, so it's 25, 35, 45, 55, 65, 75. So it's about 56 memes that I have to do in the next 2 days. Think I'll make it? Might, could do. Anyway, this is me trying to catch up. And I say, the muse comes when she's ready to come. So when she comes, be ready. The muse comes when she's ready to come. So when she comes, be ready. And another way of saying this is, did I say it in another way somewhere? If You don't know when the door's going to open, or you don't know when the window's going to open, or you don't know when the wall is going to open apart and let in a bit of light. But if you're not standing by the door or standing by the window ready, or even standing by the wall for the hand to come through, you're not going to see it when it does. So you don't know when the ideas are going to strike. But if you're not kind of, primed, ready for the ideas to come, then you're definitely not going to get them. And what does being ready mean? I don't know. It kind of depends where you get ideas from. Maybe you get them from wandering around in the woods. Maybe you get them from being in the shower. So have lots of showers, or be aware when you're in the shower that you might have a waterproof notepad. Anyway, that was just my meme, and you can make of it what you will. By the way, what do you make of it? Do you think it's does that make sense? The muse is just where ideas come from. And sometimes in the past it's been for artists or sculptors, for example, it's been a woman, a woman who inspires an artist and becomes his muse. In other words, he seems to be unusually creative around her. Therefore, he sort of has her around, and maybe could you call Yoko Ono John Lennon's muse? I'm not sure. Or you can get all sort of airy fairy or way out there, and think of the muse as where ideas come from. As simple as that. For example, I have a muse, and it's in the name of my photographs and my writing. I call these photographs and writings that I produce every day my Paris Photo Chronicles. But even more, I call them When Lady Eiffel Smiles. Each one is When Lady Eiffel Smiles number, and here I'm on number 962 in 962 days. So if I can have any claims to do anything on a regular basis, it's write and take photographs and get up in the morning and go to bed at night and various other things you probably don't want to know about. When Lady Eiffel Smiles, this is the name of this series. The more intimate name and the more grandiose name is the Paris Photo Chronicles. And Lady Eiffel, I mean the Eiffel Tower, I call her my muse. I say Paris adopted me, or I adopted Paris, the city. I'm not quite sure which. And Lady Eiffel, as I call her, a bit sort of corny, but the Eiffel Tower is my muse. I kind of pray to her I don't, but I go to Paris and I know that she will deliver up something. She as a symbol for what happens when I walk around Paris. And I don't know what's going to happen, and I don't go there with an idea. I wait and see, and something always happens. What about you? Where do you get your ideas from? And do you go somewhere expecting something to happen, or do you have an idea in mind? You go somewhere to take a specific photograph or to write a specific text. How does that work for you? So I've got a lot of stuff to talk to you about tonight, and I'm not quite sure where to start. So I'll start by just reminding you of my creative groups. This is the photography one, Creative Smartphone Photography Group. This is the one that this live is linked to. This is the Smartphone Photography Show. No, sorry. This is the Creative Writing Show. Let's get it right. And here is the group. And what happens here is I've just put a thing up here to help you understand what is supposed to be going on. So you can contribute any sort of writing. I call it the Creative Blog and Article Writing Group because an article is a really great way of getting something out there with a strong message, nicely structured, great vocabulary, all sorts of interesting twists and turns you can put in it, but it's in a manageable length and format. That's why I mentioned articles. And blog, to be honest, if you have a blog, what do you put on the blog? Well, you put anything on the blog. So it doesn't matter. So it's not just about articles. And it could be about, you could have a blog for poetry, a poetry blog. So your thing could be poetry, or it could be short stories, or it could even be memes. I do series of memes. I just showed you one. And memes aren't as naff as you might think they are. Because, in fact, the reason I've got really excited about memes is because in the fewest number of words possible, you have to say the most. And that's an art. That's a real discipline, and it's a skill. My ideal meme is one that includes one or more of the following elements. It's short. It has a note of humor. It has a bit of irony. It has a strong message. It rhymes. Yeah, basically that. So if you can combine as many of those into a meme as possible, put it on top of one of your photographs. There's no excuses. I don't want to see other people's photographs. Your words on your photograph, just take a snap of anything. It could be a coffee mug. It doesn't matter. And put it as a meme, and that's great. You can do that. So this is what I created this yesterday to try and remind you and make it clearer and clearer what you can do in the group. So enjoy your group, take part, because if no one takes part, there ain't no group. And what you can do is you can share your words, of course. The whole thing is fundamentally about sharing your words. Read the daily prompts. So I give you a daily prompt, which is in the form of my daily photograph and a snippet of text from my writing of the day. And the idea is that can inspire you to write. You can contribute something in that thread inspired by the photograph or the text or both, or you can contribute something which has nothing to do with them if you want. Okay, don't feel that you're stuck to that. It's just a prompt. It's optional, but at least there's a prompt. Then there's a weekly theme. So the weekly theme is, for example, at the moment, it's going to be, I'm just starting it, it's going to be heat. I would like you to write anything you like about heat, a poem about heat, an article about heat, a short story about heat, a meme about heat, as you like. And there will be a thread for that topic. It'll say, weekly thread. I think I called it, if you can't stand the heat, and then below it, write anything that comes to your mind about heat. And I will talk about it in next week's show. Then there's the live show. So do the weekly themes, watch the live show. That's this. So if you're watching, thank you, live or on the replay. It's a pleasure to have you here. And comment and ask questions. This is both in the group and especially on the live show. I love to get questions and comments and interact with you. Try the challenges. Try the challenges, masterclasses, and Paris retreats. So these are things which will happen from time to time in the group. A challenge, it'll be, for example, a 5-day challenge with something quick to write every day for 5 days. And that's free. That's part of the group. Then masterclasses. This is something I'm planning, the writing masterclass for next year. So it's coming next year, probably not this year. And that will be a 9-week masterclass on writing, powerful writing, basically based on articles or blogs, what you might put on blogs. So what I've already said, really good, hard-hitting, or powerful articles, elements of poetry, elements of short stories, elements of memes, anything like that goes. And that'll be covered in the masterclass. It'll be in the same style as my photography masterclass, which is running again in 29 days. So if you want to join the photography masterclass, if you love photography, it's based on smartphones. So everyone has one, almost, I reckon. And it's in the 9-week format, my personal 9-week format. Very, very powerful, wonderful format. You finish with a series of writings, which you didn't have at the beginning. Really fantastic outcome. So that you can go to, so the writing one isn't available yet because it's coming next year, but the photography one, I'm running it again for the second time. And you go to infinitecreativitynow.com and you will find it, infinitecreativitynow.com. So going back to this, let me just show you a couple of examples. Was that everything? Get creative and have fun. Oh yeah, and Paris retreats. So next year, a Paris retreat, writers retreat is coming as well. That'll probably be 5 days, Monday to Friday, arrive Sunday evening, go Saturday morning, 5 full days of incredible, powerful writing activities. And it's a retreat, so there's plenty of relaxing time and getting to know each other. And you will come away with a completely different outlook on writing and your life, if that's what you're looking for. And it'll be very, very intricately woven into the fabric of Paris, where I have lived for over half my life. For half my life, and we're talking more than 25 years. So I know a bit about Paris, and Paris, as I said, inspires me every single day to photograph and to write. So you wanna explore Paris in my company, where I will give you everything I possibly can to completely transform your writing in the context closely woven into the fabric of Paris. Then that's for you, and that will be happening, fingers crossed, next year. Okay, so that's for that, and I did a similar one for the photography group in case you're interested, which looks very, very similar, except it's getting people to contribute their photographs. All right, so let's have a quick look at a couple of things I have done recently. So the scribble prompts, these are the prompts which invite you to contribute. People haven't really got into them yet. They're quite new, so no one has contributed. I just published this today. And you can see how it works. There's the text which says, get creative every day, scribble prompt. How does the image make you feel? What does the text bring to mind? Let a few ideas or emotions or spontaneous reactions spring forth, whatever they may be. So you can see that the image is of, it's Gare du Nord, one of the biggest, most impressive train stations in Paris, looked at through a couple of iron things in the Eiffel style, with lots of rivets and stuff. And I'm actually on a train taking that photograph as I zoom past, up in the air, over the boulevard, on the bridge, over the railway lines going to the station. And I give you a snippet of text, which is here. It says, and it's random, but it's from my text of the day. So this says, between which layers of petrified perception reality lies is anyone's guess. We're all doing our best with what we've got. And that came from the text that I wrote, which looks something like this. Pictures of pictures on a bridge. What, is the bridge not enough? That we need to add pretty pictures and then take pictures of that? And when I publish this lot, just in case, I'll grab a sneaky screenshot. Between which layers of petrified perception reality lies is anyone's guess. We're all doing our best with what we've got. If any of this seems real to you, I invite you to turn your device over. Ta-da! There is no Gare du Nord, no Parisian platforms streaming out behind your computer or mobile phone. Did you see what I did? I fooled you. So easy to do, because you see, I've been fooled too. That was my writing inspired by that photograph. And that was my meme. And this is what I wrote for the mug, the famous mug that I showed you. I'm not sure if I should show you that one. Yeah, I'll show you that one. And then there was another one, a kitten one. What happened? There's the kitten. All right, so this is the story of the mug. So here's the first one. It's me holding up the mug and the card. And the writing looks like that. Lizard mugs are my thing, I realize. I'm a lizard mug kind of guy, but it didn't always used to be that way. A couple of days ago, I was more of a chilly wildlife mug kind of guy. Then a cute kitten came along and changed all that. Stick with me. There's a point here somewhere, kinda. So this friend of mine comes back from holiday and gives me this lizard mug as a thank you for kittens sitting for her. She then goes off on holiday again. And a day later, the kitten smashes the chili mug. I'm wondering if the psychic energy chez moi can only deal with a certain number of emotionally charged mugs at a time. Luckily, I'm still in one piece for now. Kinda. That was kinda the first half of that story. And the second half was the kitten itself, starring in its own disaster. There's the kitten with the smashed mug. And I kind of, in French, they say boucle le boucle. It means like close the belt with this text, which I published today. As you're listening to my texts, obviously I would like you to send me your text and I would look at yours, read them, appreciate them, and talk about them from a writing point of view if you want me to. But whilst I'm waiting for more text to come in, as the blog gets better known, well, I'm going to cover my own stuff and other things. So here's the follow-up. Cursing or chagrin would normally have accompanied the breaking of a mug with sentimental attachments. But that was before kintsugi. When I heard the crash and saw the kitten's misdeeds, only a second was needed to turn annoyance into opportunity and to stop testing whether there was enough room to swing a cat where I live. Kintsugi is a centuries-old Japanese practice which involves mending pottery very visibly using gold to highlight the cracks. The breaks are seen as part of the history of the object, enriching it, and the same way battle scars speak of a brave warrior's valiant past. Now I have the chance to repurpose my chili mug into a perky paintbrush holder or cheery tea bag depository in the best Japanese tradition. My next project is to see if it works on the kitten. Just kidding, she's really coming together quite nicely. So there were two examples of my writing, which is inspired by photographs and by life events. That's where my inspiration comes from. I'm not sure if anybody else's inspiration comes from anywhere else but that, what they've lived through and then what comes to mind. And I find that almost every day there's some event which inspires some text, makes me think, that could be the Paris Photo Chronicle for tomorrow. I don't know about you guys. I'd love to know how it works for you, where your inspiration comes from. I'm going to go over now to this week's Paris Photo Chronicles. That's me. That's me live. Hello, how are you doing? And let's see if I can find what I'm looking for. All right. Okay, that was last week. And this is this week. Yeah, so there it is. And if I'm lucky, I'll have the writing as well. There it is. All right, well, let me go back to last week. And this girl, this was the last one I think I talked about. This little girl on the train. And she reminded me strangely of my daughter. And I came up with this poem, which I'll read. Well, I'm not sure if I read it last week, but never mind. The Girl with the Red and Green Flags. Poetry for me, it's kind of strange. It really is, when it comes, and when it doesn't, it doesn't. And I'm okay with that. I don't try to force it. And, you know, often in the past, I had to be really, not suicidal, but really unhappy for poems to flow out. And if I wasn't really unhappy, it would be kind of, you know, half-hearted stuff. It could be okay sometimes, I think. But these days, I'm not really unhappy, which bugs me in a way, because I want to produce a lot of stuff. So I'm not going to go out and write about the sun, you know, looking beautiful in the sky. That isn't really my thing. I don't want to write miserable stuff all the time either, but I want to write deep and meaningful stuff, even if it's funny, but deep and meaningful funny. And a bit of irony in there as well is kind of my thing. Anyway, this inspired something about my poor daughter, who I've been out of touch with, really not on the same wavelength for many years, since I wasn't present enough in her childhood. And we've never really recovered. So she lives in England with her son that I don't really know. And, you know, there's the story. And when she was very young, and I used to go over to see her as often as I could to England from France, there was one day when she was playing on the swings and she had these purple gloves or mittens, and she gave them to me to look after, and she forgot to ask them back, or I forgot to give them back. And then I went back on the train to Paris and I discovered them in my pocket. So I wrote this poem about something like gloves in my pocket. I think it was gloves in my pocket, very sort of, you know, heart-wrenching sort of stuff. And then this reminded me kind of that little girl, who is the little girl I'm still in love with, you know, the one that's out there now. I'm not saying it's a different girl and that I don't love her. Of course I do. And yet, you know, sometimes we get attached to particular events in the past and particular times in people's lives. And that's very, very strong time for me. And this made me think of her. It was the red and green flags that she was holding that made me think of stop and go. And that gave me the idea for the poem. Stop and go is like with emotions. Come on, no, don't get too close. Please come closer. Stop, don't get too close. And that's what kind of was the driving force for this poem, which came out like this: The Girl with the Green and Red Flags. Where does the time go? From purple gloves lingering in pockets to years long lost, rotting. I'm going to start again. The problem is when I start, I've always forgotten the rhythm, so that's the way it goes. I'll read it here. It's easier for me. Where does the time go? From purple gloves lingering in pockets to years long lost, rotting in boxes. Old loves of mine, fingering letters, hoaxes and feints, slotting in visits, between tantrums and fixes. She sure deserved better. That I bring her creamed spinach, storytime wish, holding hands in the darkness, poor tainted dove, loathes my seed when she needed me, echoing lockets. So there's a lot of sort of deep meanings in there and things which nobody else but me and possibly her might know about. I had to get rid of one image that was really strong because I couldn't fit it in properly. It was that when I went over there and I used to read her bedtime stories, she would ask to hold ring finger. The finger, I didn't have a ring on it, but she called it the ring finger. She said, ring finger, ring finger. And I didn't manage to fit it in because I'd already put this image of fingering letters, old loves of mine fingering letters, like me going through old letters. So I put fingering and I didn't want to put ring finger. You know, that's how difficult I am when I'm writing a poem. I don't like to have the same word twice unless there's a damn good reason for it. And I couldn't find one there, unfortunately, because the ring finger thing was very, very strong. But, you know, you can't do everything. And sometimes you've got to make compromises. And that's what I did there. So anyway, there's a poem which is very, you know, strong, deep and meaningful for me. And then this one, the wonderful thing about having this vehicle, which I call my Paris Photo Chronicles, is anything goes. There are no rules except I have to fit it into the space for the photograph, on the photograph, which is a certain size, without it looking too crushed. And I can sometimes play with the shapes of the black background, and it can be anything deep and meaningful, a poem, something about a Paris curiosity, a social comment. And I like this vehicle. It's not for everyone, but I'm telling you about it in case you would like to have something like that too. There's no rules. I wanted it to be more about Paris, to be honest. I'd like to talk more about the funny little quirks of Paris and curiosities and stuff. That's really a passion of mine, and history. But to be honest, more often than not these days, something else comes out. And at some point, I was kind of fighting it. I wanted to make it more about the curiosities of Paris, but then it would be more like a kind of standard travel blog. And I want to put those things in. They will be there. But right now, more often than not, there's more deep and meaningful stuff as well. Having said that, I've started a blog with the best name I've ever had, I think, one of them, called lazypig.com. And I had it for years, you know, since 1996 or 7 or something crazy like that, when you could practically buy any cool name. So I bought lazypig.com. Yep, it's that cool. And I've just found a use for it now, lazypig.com. I'm using it to put articles. So hopefully the deep and meaningful stuff will transfer over to lazypig.com, and the Paris Photo Chronicles with the writing will be more just about Paris. But we'll see how it goes. And I've got 4 categories. One's about creativity, one's about productivity, one's about infinity. Infinity is like life, the universe and everything. And one's about curiosity, which is strange quirks of life. And there's plenty of those. So if you click on one of these, like Infinity Bites, if I click on the right thing, it would help. It goes to the articles that I've written in this series, and I'm up to about 3 articles there. And then you click on one of these. This is my latest one, I Believe in Nothing. I haven't finished it yet, so I won't show it to you. This is the last one that I finished. It's called Apple of My Eye. And it looks like this. And it's readable, you know, it's not that long. And I put the funny little cartoons in to make it even more readable. So that is more writing of mine that you can get into if you like, get inspired by, and I must push forward on that. I'm really not writing enough on that. And coming back to, where was I before? Yeah, I was on my Paris Photo Chronicles. So there was this one. And this is a strange one because it had 3 people standing at the bus stop, distanced, all with blue masks on. Now there's something to write about, isn't there? If you're wondering where ideas come from, and I would like to know where your ideas come from, just type in the chat. Where do you get, whether you're watching the replay or not, where do your ideas come from? Where do you get them from? come unheeded, unbid? They just pop into your head, or do you need to be in a special place? Or do you have terrible problems getting good ideas? How does it work for you? I'd love to know, because that's really what, this is all about. It's helping you to be as creative as you possibly can. And if words is your thing, this is the place to be. For example, this popped out of my head. See what you think. The schemes worked. The mindless sheep have swallowed the virus. Hoax. I've got to get this right. The schemes worked. The mindless sheep have swallowed the virus hoax. Hook, line, and sinker. No thinker. Subversive face-to-face contact has been shut down entirely. Life O'Reilly. All communication from now on is done through smartphone apps. Ours, of course. Hapless chaps and chapesses can smile all they want, but in vain. We know who you'll date, and your preferences are being tweaked and twisted as I speak. Eek! The watch on your wrist tells much more than the time. We know where you've been, what you do, how you feel. You plan your next meal? It's not real. We're watching you, inside and out. If you're feeling down, we'll pep you up with a cat vid or some luckless pup. But if you're feeling uppity, don't worry, there's a killer app for that too. It knows that you know what to do. We'll see you through. So this was playing on both people who think that the virus is a hoax and Big Brother type conspiracy theories and anything that came to mind, basically, and throwing it around with as much fun language as I could muster. I'll go through these fairly quickly. So I'll go on to the next one now, and this has 6 new ones. And this more or less brings me up to date. Not exactly, but quite, almost. So this one is inspired by the Paris wall that they call the I Love You wall. And it's a wall where you have about I love you written in about maybe 150 different languages. It's so cool. We go there on the photo tours. It's wonderful. And I had a friend who was talking an awful lot about love last week, and the bubble, the text bubble next to the woman, it's actually a piece of canvas, I think, which has been stuck on the wall, and I know the artist who did it. And you can see that there used to be an old one to her right as we look, and she kind of collapsed, so he put a new one up, and it says "Aimer, c'est du désordre, alors aimons," which means loving is chaos. Let's love. So let's love, which is a nice message. And my poem that fell out of there, kind of a poem, is called Let's Love. Love is absolutely nuts. Let's love. Opal blue dress, fitting like a glove. Vexing hidden hearts, a dopey dove. Ever try, you can't deny the calling from above. I quite like it. It's sweet, it's short, it's got a few cliches in there, but it's also got a few winks, as they say in French, or nods to people I know and things they like and things they've done. So, for example, a friend of mine who did the smartphone photography masterclass, started a blog for people who spot hearts all over the place, in the clouds, in the trees, in the puddle. So, that's a little sort of wink to her. A dopey dove is for the birds that I manage to get birds often in really cool places in my photographs. So that's part of my life there as well. And you'll notice that the last words rhyme, all of them. Love, glove, dove, above. It's really difficult to get inventive with words that rhyme with love. I think you can understand that. It's not the first time, people have tried to rhyme words with love. So what do? Well, for me, it's a bit like taking photographs of the Eiffel Tower. You remember my muse. It's not the first time someone's taken a photograph of the Eiffel Tower. So should I not do it? Well, no, I shouldn't not do it. I should do it if that's what's in my heart. So if I want to rhyme a 4-line poem based on love, then I'm going to do it. And the rhymes are not going to be original. But that doesn't mean the poem isn't going to be original. All you have to do is write about 2 or 3 words in a row, which aren't that common. And you've written something which hasn't been written ever before. It's not that difficult to do. And once you get onto several lines, it's definitely original. It might not be amazing, but it's still going to be original. I mean, I can guarantee you with let's say 99.9999% certainty that no one has written a poem with these exact words before. And then you add the background, you add the text, you add my backstory and stuff, and it's unique. It's okay. The thing is to do it. Don't worry about how original you think it is. Just do it. Get it out there. Share it. That's the nice thing. If someone shares a poem about love, it's not a negative thing, is it? I think we need more of that. So for its simplicity or whatever, there it is. So that was nice. And then this one is another photograph of the same thing that I just showed you earlier. And this is taken from a moving train, very dangerous. Well, the doors were closed, zooming across a viaduct over a boulevard on a metro, looking down onto the bridge, which is over the train tracks. And there happened to be a person going by, which is pretty cool. And I'm just going to read it. I can't remember what I wrote. And this is to show you how words fall out of my head. As luck would have it, line 2 of the Paris metro offers a fine, if fleeting, elevated view of the Gare du Nord train tracks and platforms, sneaking out from the terminal building. Am I alone in finding this view rather splendid? No one else seems to give it a second glance as they fret over whether the next stop is theirs or simply cultivate studied ennui. For me, it's an artistic challenge to get a killer shot without having a bit of the viaducts passing ironwork messing up the composition, or making it part of it, as in When Lady Eiffel Smiles, number 962, which I showed you earlier. So that fell out of my head that time. This one is different. I mean, how different can you get? And what fell out of my head for this? And as you're reading or watching and listening, I'd love your comments. So let me know what you think. If you have any comments, if you like them, if you've got a question about anything, then do let me know. The thing is, I might have moved on by the time you ask your question. I might have moved on to something else. So do just reference. For example, if you want to ask something about this one, say, a lady with the red thing on her head. Some meetings might appear more significant than others. Some may make much greater sense. Some carry hope or bring heady beauty over a single cup of coffee. But most of our fleeting meetings are fated never to happen. Have you ever mused on all the many meaningful moments we're missing, simply because we're so blindly busy doing other things? Instants come and go like the flow of unseen rivers. Can we truly greet them with innocent eyes wide open? So that was a picture I'm really happy with, and I like the text as well. I'm pleased. It's a very, very sort of whimsical, mystical, wondering type of text, which I do like. Texts which ask more questions than give answers. This one is from some rather cool buildings. I've done another shot of this earlier, which I'll read it to you. Chipper cheery, fun and funky. This is the sort of modern architecture I do appreciate. Given that your bog standard bunch of rooms on a typical tower block ain't gonna morph much, at least they've made an effort to liven up the livery. I featured these buildings in a much more striking shot back in When Lady Eiffel Smiles, number 126, in book 1 of volume 1. How long ago? That seems. The crane wasn't there, just a leery lamppost. So more mutants must be in the making. So that was fun, playing around with a lot of words that start with the same letter, as I often do. And then this one came from an interesting event, which I will leave you to imagine. And it's called Wafer Thin. Someone was doing some sort of mystical thing with me and said, "Oh, I see an English word coming to me. It's." And this person wasn't English. He was French. She is French. She's doing a sort of reading or something. It's the word wafer. I thought, what? Wafer? What are you talking about? I didn't say that. But anyway, wafer it was. So I went home and I thought, well, I'm not really into that sort of stuff, but I thought I would immortalize the moment. So I wrote a damn poem about wafers, kind of. Wafer thin, her hands begin to measure me, softly strokes at leisure me, barely touching, fully clothed, my energy, her currency. Fingers float, belying and beguiling me. Can't she see I'm sinking and she's drowning me? Hand held gently, sounding me, pleasurably, helping set my treasure free, shedding flakes of pure envy, innocently, maybe. So that was wafer thin. I'm pretty excited about poetry right now. It's coming back to me. I've had what is it, like drought periods in poetry. Like I look at my years on mysticrhythms.com. I look at the years, and some years it's one poem, another year is 50. It's really difficult to know what's going to happen, and I can't predict it. I can't. So I'm really excited that right now I'm kind of on a roll. What about you? Do you like poetry? Do you write poetry? So poetry is something I would like you to, as the group develops and as this show gets more viewers, I would definitely like to include poetry as part of it. Look, so 2019, last year, 12 plus poems. That means there are probably a couple more that I need to put in. 2018, 32. Such a great year. Why? Because I started my Paris Photo Chronicles. So you start something where you're writing every day, and I allowed poetry to be part of them. And all of a sudden, the poems came, 32 poems in 1 year. I was really happy. Look before though. Look at the last 4 years. 2 poems, 3, 0. That's the only year I didn't write a single poem. That was a bad year. And 2014, 1. That was a dearth. That was the word I was looking for. A dearth of creativity, poetry. I was in the shit, basically, a crap place. Things were going badly. Everything was going badly. And the poems spoke to it. I mean, the lack of them. Having said that, I've had bad periods in my life when I've needed poetry to get it out there. That wasn't one of them, apparently. I was drowning in other stuff. And then 2013, and it was okay. You see, look, 2013 and 12, 15 and 31 poems respectively. And then 2011, 1, 11, 3, 4, 5, 4, 13, 5, 14, 21, 31, 57, 24. So it's really, really up and down. And right now I'm excited that I'm writing poems quite regularly. So that's a really cool thing. That's mysticrhythms.com, mysticrhythms.com if you want to check out my poetry. Okay, so let me just finish with the text that we have so far. And this one is the last one I'll read to you this time. And then I'll tell you something interesting about a new blog I'm starting about the wonders and curiosities of the English language. I've done this twice before, and I'm recycling and I'm adding new stuff. It's going to link into a couple of new websites I've got for English teaching and people who love English. So that's it. So here's this interesting statue. Let me read what I said. Keep moving along, please, folks. Nothing to see here. 𝙎𝙃𝘼𝗍𝙍 𝙠𝗏, which means man, from 1963, seems to be protesting his disturbing disappearing into a seemingly inaccessible sunken garden alongside the foreboding Ministère de l'Économie et des Finances, opposite the Parc de Bercy. He's got 2 thighs, but 3 calves and feet, for what it's worth. A mirage of movement in space, time and bronze, perhaps. The photographic equivalent would be a blurred moving figure, or some sort of double exposure, I guess. If you dressed him in a uniform and stuck a whistle in his mouth, you could feasibly mistake him for a Paris policeman directing traffic. There's just that third appendage which might raise eyebrows. Move along, folks. Nothing to see here. And I only saw him because I had my eyes open and I was peering over walls and stuff. That's what you got to do. Walk around and keep your eyes open forever. Looking up, looking down, left, right, behind you, sometimes in front of you. And cynics would say you got to look down most of the time in Paris or you'll walk into dog poo, but it's better these days. So those are what I've produced this week. And let me just, so I'm going to get rid of those ones. That's my lazypig.com if you want to check out my articles on the topics I mentioned earlier. And I'm going to tell you about this, the snail. I'm going to revamp this from 11 years ago. And that was a revamping of an earlier one. Can you imagine? Like every 10 years, I revamp it and recycle. But why not? Time moves on, but some of these gems are amazing. And what this is, it was a, look, it says here, it was for English teachers and stuff. I was heavily into English teaching at that time. I call it I had a website called 𝙎𝙃𝗃 English. I've got rid of it. Now I'm on Fun English Lessons. Maybe I should have 𝙎𝙃𝗃 English again. Oh, God, I think I've just got rid of it. And I called this blog Sab's New Academy of the English Language. which if you look at the acronym, it's snail, which was kind of, I liked it at the time, the spirit of snail. And on this particular blog, I had other blogs for doing sort of reviews of English teaching books and stuff like that. This one is about the crazy English language, and I loved it. So the first 2 or 3 posts are about that. It's introducing this blog, which I think I'll do again. I think I'll start it again, probably on fun English lessons. And you can't see too much of the curiosities. I'm going to go on to newer posts and see what there is. And there were tens and tens of posts there. For example, here's one. Oh, this is literally from more than 20 years ago when I first saw this. It was a friend of mine who got this great, badly translated menu from French into English. And I got an article out of it, and I called it Balls to the Choices, because that was one of the French menus, French items translated into English. In French, it must be boule au choix, and something like that. To the choices, it means you can choose the type of number of ice cream balls or something you want, but it comes out of balls to the choices is how they translated it. It was pretty cool. And they had things like Xander to the bottom leak, lawyer to the prawn cocktail sauce, cold buffet to Will, and various things like that, which was fromage frais beaten to the cream. It sounds very painful, doesn't it? And it could be anything. I've got a huge collection of these, and I think I'll start sharing them again. It was pretty good. Here's another one. From a semi-mollifying letter we received from a software company the other week. I hereby confirm that the anomaly concerning the security procedures produced for an investment account can be identified as an undocumented feature, and assure that you that this is not caused by any remaining data corruption. And the asterisk says, we used to call this a bug in the good old days. And this one, I'll read this one, see if it's cool as well. And this is just a sampler, so hopefully this will get going. And I can include things like this every week in this show, actually. It would be pretty fun. I couldn't resist, it says. When something I appreciate comes along, I love to talk about it, promote it, and possibly exploit it, all in the good name of spreading the wonderful words, of course. And so, without further apologies, this is pretty small for you. Let's see if I can make it bigger. This is the old blog I managed to find. I'm probably going to completely redo it. So without further apologies, here's a minor stealing, I mean borrowing, from the wonderful My Grammar and I, what they call the grammar rules to avoid, and what I like to refer as the anti-grammar rules top 10 list. 1, verbs has to agree with their subjects. 2, remember to never split an infinitive. And you'll notice that each of these sentences breaks the rule it's talking about. So it's actually quite cool, because you can give it to really good English learners or real English people, I mean English speakers, native speakers, and see if they get every single one of these. Parenthetical remarks, however relevant, are usually unnecessary. Never use a big word when a diminutive one would suffice. Never use a big word when a little one would do. Use words correctly, irregardless of how other allude to them. That's a really cool mess, isn't it? Use the apostrophe in its proper place and omit it when it's not needed. And of course, they've put it in the wrong place twice there, or rather, they should have put it. Well, you know what I mean. Eliminate unnecessary references. As Ralph Waldo Emerson once said, I hate quotations. And that is, of course, a quotation. Who needs rhetorical questions? Exaggeration is a billion times worse than understatement. And last but not least, avoid cliches like the plague. So that's just one example of millions, millions of these funny English thingies. And I'm dying to get a new blog out there to put them all together for once and for all, forever and a day. So that, I hope, will be coming soon. And I'm pretty much at the end now. So what else can I tell you? If you're into creativity and productivity, which you should be if you're following me, because that's what I'm all about, get on my writing list, on my mailing list. It's basically my newsletter. You get a creative tip or ponder every day from me. well, Monday to Friday, and then the weekend is a kind of a relax and a summary. You also get some sort of image, which is supposed to inspire you, with another thought to inspire you. And you also get my 9 ninja tips, as it says on the packet, to boost your creativity and productivity. It's all free. You'll become part of my crazy creativity clan, I call them, because clan is like, I was born in Scotland, so there's that. And it's just great. You know, this is amazing. I'm going to produce this hopefully for the rest of my life. I'm moving. I don't know about you guys in terms of creativity. It's something we can talk about. How close are you to having found your thing, what you might call your thing? Let me know. And if you're watching the replay, you might think that you're replying directly to me, but when I read it back and you just say, you give me one word or two, I don't know what you're referring to. So if you wanted to refer to that, you would say, my thing is da da da, and I discovered it da da da. Yeah, so please get on this mailing list. Please join my newsletter distribution list so that you get, these are things which I will be compiling into a collection. So every day there is a very small text. Let me show you, can I show you what, I don't know if I can show you what one looks like, but it's a small, yes, I can. Yes, I can. So I'm going to go to the group, which is closely linked to the newsletter. The newsletter and this group, Infinite Creativity Now, go hand in hand, brother and sister. And this is quite a long one, actually. There's the text. Okay, so that's today's creative ponder or creativity tip. There it is. Gives you a kind of something to think about. The newsletter also boosts you to be creative or productive. And that's the image that came from today's newsletter. There's always an image to inspire you, a little text to inspire you, and a call to action. I want you to be creative and productive. That's what you're with me for. That's why you're listening to me. Unless you just love the sound of my voice, which I doubt is the main thing you're listening to me for. You're here because you want to be as creative and productive as you possibly can. And that's what this is about. Okay, that is it. That's why I do it. So for example, if you don't paint some color on your walls, who will? This is a meme that I created on my photograph. Of course, you know me. I want you to create your memes with your words on your photographs. If you don't paint some color on your walls, who will? And I remember writing in the newsletter, but it's not here because there's a little extra section in the newsletter that goes with this image. It's something along the lines of, so many people sit around waiting for something to happen in life. And some people just sit around and not doing much at all. How's that working out for them? Ask Netflix. So if you don't want to be one of the people who spends all their time consuming other people's creativity, like all their time, stick with me and create more than you consume. Create more than you consume, please. You need to consume, because otherwise that's where a whole load of ideas come from, what you've experienced in life. But if all you do is consume and you don't create anything, I don't know, but what sort of purpose are you serving in life? I'm not being judgmental or anything. I mean, but, create in terms of creating a nice birthday cake for your kids, or, creating a nice atmosphere for their bedtime story. Something, something, not just passivity 100% of the time. That's all I'm saying. But I would push you to create stuff which you would literally call a creation, like a book, a story, a poem, a picture. That's what I'm about. So join up for the newsletter. You go to infinitecreativitynow.com/newsletter, infinitecreativitynow.com/newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. You'll get the 9 ninja tips. They're really fun and colorful. And you then join the group and you can share your creativity in the Infinite Creativity Now group, and we'll become best friends forever. Okay, I'm going to stop there. That was pretty cool and I enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed it too. Do let me know in the chat if you found it useful, and invite your friends to come along as well. Come along with your questions, as many questions as possible, questions and comments. I'd love questions to start the show with, and I'd also love you to interact during the show so that we can get some interaction going and questions back and forth. This is a very young group, so we don't have many people yet. In the photography group, for example, I have some old friends who we have a really good time on the live show there, and that's what will happen here as well. Just takes time. Okay, thanks very much, everyone, and there'll be another one next week. I'm going to try a theme, and the theme to write about is if you can't stand the heat. It's about the hot weather many of us are having. So I'd like you to do some sort of text. It could be a poem, a meme, a short story, an article, something about heat, and contribute it here. And let me see it, and I'll chat about it next time. How does that sound? Okay, I'm going to carry on with my unbroken mug. For now, my next things coming up are on Saturday. It's actually my birthday on Saturday, so I'm not quite sure how free I'll be. But if all goes according to plan, about 7 p.m. Paris time, I'll be doing a Today's the Day show, which is my group, my Today's the Day group, which is about celebrating every day. Celebrate something good every day, and you will feel that you're living good days. And all your days go to make up your life, don't they? So you do that, and then you'll be feeling that you're living a good life. That's the reason for this group, and it's a beautiful group. Beautiful group. People share beautiful things, and I change the banner every day, and it's my photo of the day. It's a sliver of my photo of the day, and you'll recognize it. You recognize the kitten that smashed my mug, and gave me the beautiful opportunity to practice a kintsugi, repairing a smashed piece of pottery with gold to make it look to show its history and to honor its history, and I put a little slogan. Today it's smash it. So it's something that comes to me, again, more creativity, something that comes to me normally inspired by the photograph. It's resoundingly positive. Sometimes I can be quite ironic or cynical or not negative. You know, I'm a very positive person, but in writing, pure positivity doesn't really interest me that much. I like layers and layers of meaning. So smash it is actually, it's a term which we can use positively. Yes, I'm going to smash it today. I'm going to do really well. But it can also be, well, smash it. You know, you've broken it. Damn it, I've smashed your favorite mug. So again, in 2 words, you can have a 100% diametrically opposed double meaning in 2 words, which is cool, isn't it? That's what we love words for. That's why we love language, isn't it, guys? Isn't it, friends? That's why we love language. It's a game. It's a game we can play endlessly, forever, and have fun with it. And people contribute wonderful things in this. So Saturday evening, I'll hopefully be in the Today's the Day group live, talking about your Today's the Day, the things you have contributed. It's very easy. You start with Today's the Day, and then you say what you did, what you are really happy to have done that day, which is unique. You know, it's a unique thing. Or if you want to use it as a motivational tool, you say at the beginning of the day, you say, today's the day I will do something. And in that case, we're waiting for you to come back in at the end of the day, go into the comments on your post and say, I did it, yeah, and we'll encourage you. So that's another fun thing that I came up with. So yeah, I've got about 4 or 5 groups that are going. I've got the creative, I'll come back to you. I'll just show you one example. There, for example, look, Michelle said, today's the day I smashed the meaning of life. How about that? She's taken the phrase, smash it, and she's put it into her today's the day. She's a model group member. Today's the day I smashed the meaning of life. I am happy, content, fulfilled, and at peace. I know I am enough. I have more than enough. I love life, and it's a beautiful world. Well, that's incredibly beautifully positive, isn't it? And, you know, I've got a feeling that her life hasn't always been totally positive. So what a beautiful thing to allow someone to be able to express that. And she posted a picture of a tree. And of course, what you can post once per day with the today's the day, obviously. Today's the day, you post once, maximum of once. But you can comment as often as you like. So for example, Dorothy says, I see a heart. Do you? Dorothy sees hearts everywhere. So I was looking around for a heart and I found a heart. I would say there's a heart here. Can you see my mouse? I'd say there's a heart there. And that's cute, isn't it? Seeing a heart. And then Michelle is excited because Dorothy saw a heart. And I commented saying, oh, I see a heart too, ladies. You're incorrigible romantics, both of you. And Michelle liked that. You see how it's a nice, warm, safe place? And my Today's the Day live is only in the group. It's not elsewhere. But my others, like this one, are available to everybody because I want to reach as many people as possible. Okay, so yeah, I've got 3 or 4 groups. I've got Infinite Creativity now, got the newsletter, which you really should sign up for, Creative Smartphone Photography, Creative Blog and Article Writing, Today's the Day. Going to start my English language one again. It never stops, does it? We're at 1 hour. I've talked to myself for 1 hour. They said it wasn't, no, they knew it was possible. I've talked to myself for 2 hours quite happily before now. So thanks so much if you made it this far. Well done. I really appreciate you, and keep spreading the word, keep coming back, and keep contributing your creativity. If you haven't contributed your words yet, go to the creative blog and article writing group and contribute your words, whatever they are, on any daily prompt. Yeah, there it says today's scribble prompt. That's a daily prompt. There's a new one every day. Today's scribble prompt. In the smartphone group, it's called today's snappy prompt. Okay, and in your group, in the writing group, it's today's scribble prompt. There's some instructions, there's a text, there's a thing, but just contribute anything in the comments. That's fine. Okay, doesn't matter if it isn't related to it. And that's it. That's it for today. Oh yeah, and on Sunday, I do my overall creativity and productivity sabsang. It's the Infinite Creativity sabsang. I talk about all things creative, productive, stuff I've been up to, maybe some of the same things here, but with different people. It's not just about writing. It's about everything. Life, the universe, everything, croissant, anything you like. So that's it. Thanks a lot for watching. I don't have a kitten to steal the show today. It's only me. I'm kittenless. Kittenless and fancy free. And the mug's still in one piece. That's all for now. Talk to you again. See you again next week. Bye for now.